Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Learn at Lunch, What is Staff Assembly Election Kickoff. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be our agenda for today's session. We're going to go over what is Staff Assembly, the Executive Board of Governance, what is CUCSA. We're going to mention the Staff Assembly advocacy and accomplishments that we have achieved over the last year, and go over the different executive board positions and campus committees that you can be involved with. We will go over volunteer opportunities as well, as in addition to the eligibility and time commitment for the different positions within Staff Assembly. And then we will end with the Staff Assembly social media and a Q&A section where you are welcome to ask any questions that you may have. And so what is Staff Assembly? Staff Assembly was founded in 1978. We are supported by the Office of the Chancellor and Campus Human Resources. And this organization is for staff by staff, and we represent non-unionized and unionized staff at UCLA. Through different educational, social, and community programs, our goal is to create a community at UCLA, and therefore we do a lot of different programming that is specifically for staff and faculty at UCLA. Everyone on the board are volunteers, and we take on different positions to make sure that the Staff Assembly organization works well, and we're doing different things that are beneficial for staff and faculty. So a lot of the benefits of being involved consists of leadership opportunities, networking, building a community at UCLA, personal and professional development, staff representation on campus. We are, in a way, the voice of all UCLA faculty and staff. And so a lot of the work we do is through communication with different individuals, such as the Chancellor and University Administration. And every UCLA staff is actually also part of UCLA Staff Assembly. It does not matter if you are a member or if you are a board member or if you are currently involved, but we welcome you to join us and to assist in continuing the organization and continuing to help UCLA staff and faculty. So thank you. Anna, Lucy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Guyan, for the lovely introduction and for sharing what Staff Assembly is. My name is Lucine Tarosian, and I'm fortunate to serve as your president-elect. Thank you for joining us today to learn about Staff Assembly and kick off our elections. So Staff Assembly is governed by an all-staff volunteer executive board. The executive board is elected by members of the Staff Assembly and works within the parameters set in the bylaws. Our executive sponsor is Dr. Libby Levin, Associate Vice Chancellor for Campus Human Resources. She serves as our liaison to the Office of the Chancellor and other university leaders. In addition to the executive board, committee members and general Staff Assembly volunteers support various functions. Staff Assembly collaborates and works with all other UC staff assemblies as a member of the Council of University of California Staff Assemblies, also known as CUCSA. So what is CUCSA? Next slide, please. CUCSA was founded in 1974 and comprises of delegates from all 10 UC campuses, as well as Agriculture and Natural Resources, Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, and the Office of the President. The UCLA Staff Assembly President and President-elect serve as CUCSA delegates. The CUCSA delegation meets quarterly in person for 3 days to share organizational best practices, communicate and collaborate on issues of concern to UC staff, and engage university leaders, including representatives from the Office of the President, Board of Regents members, and other key university officials. Here you'll see 2 pictures from our most recent meetings, the first at UC Riverside and the second at UC Merced. Delegates also serve on work groups that focus on staff needs and concerns. So this year we had 5 work groups, which primarily focused on staff retention, which is an issue system-wide at the University of California, but also around the world. Our work groups were retention via compensation, which Anna currently serves on, retention via advancement, which I serve on. There were also retention via wellness and the staff experience, strategic planning, and internal operations. In February 2024, we will have the honor of hosting the CUCSA meeting at UCLA. This is an opportunity to showcase UCLA and all we do. It will be an all hands on deck event where all members of the executive board will provide on-site support and attend all open sessions of this 3-day meeting from February 28th through March 1st, 2024. There will be opportunities to engage with university leaders, and I very much look forward to working with our Staff Assembly Executive Board to plan this special event. Next slide. So in terms of what Staff Assembly does, many of you may know our organization as the group that plans the all-staff picnic, but we do so much more. So in partnership with CUCSA, in recent years, we've advocated and accomplished a great deal. So some of our past advocacy efforts and accomplishments with CUCSA have been establishing the system-wide staff engagement survey, developing and advocating for the staff advisor to the regent's position, supporting benefits for non-traditional families, advocating for paid family leave, partnering with faculty to advocate for better retirement benefits, advocating for a 3% pay increase for policy covered staff, which was effective in July 2021, and then the following year for a 4.5% pay increase for policy covering staff, effective July 2022. Serving on local and system-wide committees and task forces, and creating system-wide town halls and chats open to all UC staff. Our more recent accomplishments and current advocacy efforts include providing 50 staff scholarships for professional development just this past year, advocating for the reduction of required time off during winter closure to meet staff concerns, advocating for the expansion of LinkedIn Learning for all UCLA staff. This was effective in March 2023, and previously UCLA Health had access to LinkedIn Learning, but we felt that it was important for equity purposes and professional development and advancement for all UC staff to have access to this important resource. Advocating and continuing to advocate for pay increases for policy continued staff. The Board of Regents has currently approved a 4.6% increase effective July 2023. And then we are currently advocating for tuition reimbursement and other benefits. I will hand it over to Anna to speak about our executive board positions.
Thank you, Lucine, and thanks everyone for joining us here today. So I'm Anna Esquivel, current president of Staff Assembly, and I just wanted to go over how the different roles of the executive board, and also highlight the ones that will be open for nominations this year. So the current president position is filled by the president-elect, which is Lucine, currently as president-elect, and she will assume the role as president. The president role is a 3-year commitment. You start off as president-elect, then the following year you become the president, and in your 3rd year you become the immediate past president. So for anyone who is interested in the president role, just note you will need that very strong support from your immediate supervisor because it is a 3-year commitment. The next position here after the president-elect is the vice president of creative production. And I will not go into the different aspects of each of these roles because I'll leave it to the individuals who hold these positions to go over that. Then there's the vice president of development, digital engagement, events. Then we move on to finance. The finance position is a 2-year commitment. So again, if you're interested in finance, it's a 2-year commitment. David will cover the responsibilities of that role in a future slide. Then there's the VP of Information Systems, Outreach, Programs, Records and Archives, Special Projects, Strategic Communications, and Wellness. That comprises the executive board. All those members are voting members on the Board of Staff Assembly. But we can't do it without the additional support of the immediate past president. We didn't have one this year. That the individual left UCLA, so we've had that position open this year. The campus member at large, who helps us with outreach, and then the health member at large. So those are important positions, but they're non-voting positions. Next slide. And the campus committees are additional areas where Staff Assembly helps advocate and have a representative. So these committees are set up on the campus side, and they look for staff representation. The first one is the John Wooden Center Board of Governors. There's one position that holds a 2-year term. There's the Student Conduct Committee. There are 2 positions that holds a 3-year term. Sustainability, 2 positions, 1-year term. The UCLA Committee on LGBTQ Affairs, 3 positions, and it's a 2-year term. And the UCLA Committee on Disability, which 2 positions and a 2-year terms. So in addition to opportunities on Staff Assembly, there are these other opportunities where you can be engaged and advocate for staff by being a member of any one of these committees. Next slide. Now we'll start off by turning it over to Lucine.
Hello again. So as Anna mentioned, I do have the honor of serving as president during the 2023-2024 academic year. The president of the Staff Assembly Executive Board manages the Staff Assembly Executive Board, serves as the CUCSA second-year delegate, serves on university committees, councils, and task forces, oversees communications on behalf of Staff Assembly, is responsible for Staff Assembly finances, and co-signs all orders for disbursement of funds with the Vice President for Staff for Finance, oversees fundraising efforts with the Vice President for Development, promotes the interest and welfare of all staff employees and advocates on their behalf at UC Board of Regents meetings and meetings with university leaders and all other opportune times, and appoints and manages other non-voting executive board and committee members, including the chief of staff, chief advocacy officer, campus member at large, and health member at large. So you'll be hearing about many of our executive board positions in this presentation. And if you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out to our Staff Assembly email or directly to me, and I'm happy to answer those for you. I have asked each of our executive board members to describe their specific role and responsibilities, the rewarding aspects of being on Staff Assembly, and also their time commitment. So for the president role, the time commitment is a big time commitment, including evenings and weekends. For both the president and president-elect role, I would say that at a minimum, it's about a 10-hour time commitment, but depending on our needs, upcoming events, initiatives, and advocacy efforts, it can be upwards of 30 plus, 40 plus hours during a given week. So in terms of our next slide, the president-elect role, this, as Anna mentioned, it is a 3-year commitment. So you commit to start off as the president-elect, the president in training, serve as president during the 2nd year, and the immediate past president for mentorship and guidance during the 3rd year. So the president-elect serves as a CUCSA first-year delegate, supports all board initiatives and events, promotes the interest and welfare of all staff employees and advocates on their behalf, serves on campus committees and task forces on behalf of Staff Assembly, and performs the duties of the president in their absence. Next, I'll pass it back to Anna to go over the immediate past president role.
Thank you, Lucine. So the immediate past president is the 3rd and final year of your commitment on the presidential track. And you serve as, somebody who provides the historical continuity, serve as a mentor to the incoming Staff Assembly Executive Board, manage engagement survey task forces, engages with past presidents and other past board members, and provides support, as I mentioned, with the historical information and anything else that might come up where the Staff Assembly Board will need some support. The next slide. Now I'll turn it over to Dana regarding creative production.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Schmitz, the current Vice President of Creative Production. And so this position mostly works in Adobe. A lot of our current templates and files live in Adobe Illustrator. So if you have experience with Adobe Illustrator, that's fantastic. However, if you have only experience with Photoshop and InDesign, those skills are still very transferable to Illustrator. So if you are interested in this position and have familiarity with any of the Creative Cloud products, then you should be a-okay. But primarily a lot of the work is done in that application, and then typically making mostly graphics for digital to advertise our events, and then some things here and there for print for events. But obviously, as you guys know, we are a lot more digital on Zoom these days, so it's often a lot of digital graphics. And yeah, so that is mostly the creative production positions, pretty straightforward, a lot of graphic design. So I'll pass it off to the next person.
Hi, I'm Tulsi, VP of Development. Development, as the name says, my responsibility is to seek opportunities, initiate and gather information about the programs that help us raise funds. So these funds in turn are used to help our UCLA staff for personal and professional development programs. During the tenure, being a VP of Development, I get to collaborate with VP of Events and Wellness to organize multiple events like Spark Campaign, True Brilliant Virtual 5K, and Small Businesses Resource Fair, etc. For example, if you take the Spark Campaign, it is a fundraising event that we conduct every year by Staff Assembly team. This year, we collected about $4,000, more than that. That helped honor more than 50 UCLA staff members with scholarships that help them attend professional and personal development programs. We also partner with the credit union who sponsors scholarships for the staff. During this process, I get to collaborate with other multiple VPs like creative production, strategic communication, information systems, outreach, etc. I truly consider this opportunity as a gift to learn about how Staff Assembly works internally and meet and build connections with people with similar goal and enthusiasm to help our own community. Thank you. I pass it on to next digital engagement.
Hello, my name is Kelly Goodman. I'm actually just transitioning into digital engagement from outreach, which I'll talk about in a little while. But digital engagement, as Dana mentioned, works closely with the content creator, and it's really that. It's to get all of our messaging out to our various social media platforms, our opportunities, our events. It's just a lot of planning, when it should be posted, and going into each one of those platforms and posting. I would say that right now, since I'm just learning the ropes, it's depending on when, and a lot of these depend on when we're having an event. There are weeks when we're not having an event coming up that there's not a lot to do. But right now, I would say it's about maybe 4 or 5 hour a week commitment right now. It might be more. But it's a great opportunity, and this would be a great opportunity. I'll talk about this in a little while too, for volunteers. If you're not sure you want to be all the way on the board, this might be a good thing to partner up with somebody to help with digital engagement. I can't even tell you how strongly I feel about what a great opportunity being on. This is my 3rd year on Staff Assembly, and it's just a great way to meet people on campus. I will pass it over to my next colleague.
Good afternoon. My name is Heidi Martinez, and I am the current Vice President of Events. This year, I have had the pleasure to manage and facilitate several events for our UCLA staff. With the assistance from our current president, Anna, I planned our annual all-staff social along with our Staff Appreciation Week. I am currently planning the executive board elections that I'll discuss later on and co-chairing several special projects with the VP of Special Projects. Being on the executive board, I have received visibility and networking opportunities with several important people, from the president of the health system to campus human resources to the chancellor's office. I've also collaborated with other areas on campus, such as catering, transportation, the central ticket office, and athletics. With our executive board, the VP of events works closely with digital engagement, creative production, strat communication, development, and the president. Someone in this role should have strong organizational and communication skill. The role is autonomous in that you are not waiting for someone to provide direction for you. I have made many connections this year, and I hope they will continue to grow. The time commitment varies from 5 to 7 hours per week, up to 10 to 20 hours per week, depending on the event. If you are interested in running for a position, I suggest obtaining your supervisor's approval, as you will be highly encouraged to attend staff assembly events and participate in projects during your work hours. Lastly, being a part of the executive board has been rewarding, and I hope to continue to serve next year. Thank you. And now I will pass it over to David in finance.
Thank you, Heidi. My name is, and welcome Staff Assembly. My name is David Rodriguez, and I'm honored to be your VP of Finance for this year. And I'm happy to be here to tell you all about this wonderful opportunity to join the board next year and be our VP of Finance. So some of the primary responsibilities of this role, as Anna mentioned, this is a 2-year commitment. And we want to make sure that we maintain all accounting records pertaining to the receipt and disbursement of funds, and report the status of the accounts at each of our regular board meetings. We want to make sure that we make recommendations concerning budget to the board and serve as a liaison with the university's financial officer with campus human resources. We are expected to co-sign with the president or their designee all orders for disbursement of funds as directed by the board. And we are voting members of the board. So you'll see here some of the main things that we take care of are the scholarships and the awards. This year, I believe we are planning to issue or award about 20 to 25 scholarships, something along those lines. And so each of these reimbursements requires a lot of organization and really just making sure that we're accounting for everything. And it's up to $500. Sometimes it's it'll be a one-time reimbursement. Sometimes I'll have multiple requests for reimbursement up to that $500 mark. So it just depends, but I would say anywhere between half an hour to an hour per scholarship to process. And then on top of that, I would say another hour or two of weekly meetings and running ledgers and financial statements and making sure that everything's in order and answering emails and things like that. And you would be doing some, purchase orders, recharges, transfer of funds, and managing our scholarship endowment, as well as issuing invoices and being our record keeper for finance. And these are some of the systems that you'll be using. So we use Brew and Buy, Travel Express, the UCLA financial systems, the UCLA foundation systems, and we haven't used payroll yet, but that's always a plus. So yeah, it's a very rewarding experience. I think that it's good leadership. It's a great leadership opportunity. You also have the opportunity to help build the community, networking, and it really does help you personally and professionally to develop yourself. And I think my favorite thing is being an advocate for the staff. So yeah, very good place to be. And I'm happy to, you guys feel free to reach out and I can answer any other questions that you may have. And now over to our Information Systems VP.
So I will fill this role. Our Information Systems VP is Ray, and Ray couldn't be with us today, so I will fill in for him. So the VP of Information Systems manages our website and the Staff Assembly campus event calendar. The person in this role is also responsible for uploading any video content to YouTube and also getting it posted on our website. Maintain the Staff Assembly listserv for anyone who's wanting to receive our newsletters or any communication. Making sure that that list is up to date is very important. And also working really closely with human resources to get the data of new hires loaded into our listserv, because we automatically enroll as members all new staff. And the person in this role also provides technical guidance. So as we use Slack for a form of communication or InstaChat, so the person in this role will help us manage that. And also, in order to manage the website, we use WordPress, Analytics, and Google Groups. So if you don't know how to use these things, but maybe wanted to learn how to do it, this is a good place to get started if you're interested in web design, web maintenance. The other thing I want to add here is that the Asian Pacific Islander Staff Faculty Association is under Staff Assembly. So it's an affinity group under Staff Assembly, and we help maintain their website presence. So the person in this role will also help address those requests that come from them. The time commitment here, as with other roles, it depends on the level of activity that's happening with events, because the person manages everything, whether it's a Learn at Lunch, a special program, an offsite event, et cetera. So it could be anywhere from 1 to maybe 3 or 5 hours a week. On most times it's 1, but there are, as I mentioned, depending on the level of activity, those hours could increase. So thank you very much. Next slide. Now I'll turn it over to Kelly, who's our VP of Outreach.
Hello, it's me again. So VP of Outreach, which I had mentioned, this is my 3rd year. This is ideal for a people person. I know it's probably hard to believe that I am a people person, but I am. This is the outward facing person for the Staff Assembly. And again, others have mentioned, we're known as the group that puts on events and, you get cookies or lunch, but it's so much more, as we mentioned about that, the advocating for staff. So I feel so strongly about that. So we haven't had a lot of in-person tabling opportunities under my 3-year tenure, but I'm hoping, obviously, since things are opening up, that's going to change. So as Heidi had mentioned, I think this role is another role that you really should have the support of your supervisor, because there are going to be daytime tabling events that you may have to take an hour off for or something like that. But it's to let people know about Staff Assembly, and again, to let them know about our advocacy. I would say, again, we're all saying this, depending on what the event is and what's going on at the time. Like Heidi had mentioned and Anna had mentioned, the social, that we were all hands on deck, a lot of hours went into that, and emailing and so I would say probably 4 to 5 hours about this one too, just keeping up with emails, and I'll talk about volunteer opportunities in a moment, but that was one of the things that I've been working on with a couple of the members at large, is increasing volunteer opportunities for staff to get involved with us. So that's something we've been working on, and I'll put there's a link to sign up. I'll put it in the chat when I come to my volunteer opportunity slide. But again, this is just a great position if you want to meet folks. This is one of the best networking opportunities on campus, I've felt. So we hope that you will, and again, like David said, if you want to reach out to me personally, feel free to. I'll answer any questions. And one of the things under Anna that we've really been trying to do is document everything, so that the next person who comes in, you'll have a working idea of like shortcuts and tips and tricks and things that we've gone through. So you're not going to come in blindly. So I will pass it on to the next person.
Hello, I'm going to speak on behalf of Adam Feldman, who is our current VP of Special Projects. He is out of the office today, and he joined us in the mid-year, and he's had the pleasure of co-chairing and facilitating with me and all of our UCLA staff with some fun and exciting events. With the assistance from our current president, we have had a very successful Meet the Leader series events with Chancellor Block and the president of UCLA Health, Joni Spiso, as well as our emerging research series, speaker series with Dr. Shannon Speed. We are currently planning 2 events with Mrs. Carol Block, our VP of sports reception with our rowing team. That's happening on April 22nd, and our outdoors historic walking tour on May 6th, along with our 2023 Staff Assembly Scholarship and Awards Recognition Ceremony in June. This position provides the ability to grow your network within the university. Excuse me, an email came through. Both professionally and personally. Being a part of UCLA Health, I have been able to stretch outside of my job description and begin to understand all of what UCLA has to offer. This will not only help me in my career development, but also I get to learn from the best with a diverse community. There is a ton of collaboration too, as Heidi mentioned, with campus human resources, the chancellor's office, the athletics department, and the academic senate. I love the connections I have made thus far and look forward to many more. The time commitment varies from 6 to 8 hours per week in the planning stages, then to about 10 to 15 hours per week, depending on your event and when your event nears, about the last 3 to 4 weeks. Some of the events do occur on weekends, so that is something to also note. Being a part of the board has been extremely gratifying, and I hope to continue my service next year. And we will go to our next slide, which is programs with Diane.
Thank you, everyone. So I'll cover the Vice President of Programs section. As you are aware, I take care of the Learn at Lunch programming as well as the Fan Friday programming. The Learn at Lunch programming, it's the goal is to strive for 1 to 2 programs per month, but with increase in demand, we ended up having a lot more Learn at Lunches, especially for the month of April and May. And the time commitment is usually between 3 to 4 hours per month. Most of my work goes into planning, where I spend time organizing different speakers, different topics for each month, and making sure that I have enough time for each program. And for this, you need at least 2 weeks in advance for each Learn at Lunch in order to allow enough time for my colleagues to work on digital engagement, advertising, designing the flyers and marketing material that we need. And also, I've done a lot of collaborations with VP of Wellness, Grace, and we've hosted a lot of wellness-themed Learn at Lunch programming. And so some of the topics we've covered so far is UC retirement, finance. We're going to be covering Social Security, a lot of different programs about mental health, and also professional development and networking. And through my work with Staff Assembly, I've learned a lot about different programs that are beneficial for staff and faculty that we might not have been aware of before. And so this is something that I'm very happy to have been a part of. And the second program that I've been running is Fan Friday, which is held from September to November. And this is probably a 2 to 3 hour commitment where you are working with the Director of Athletics, Danielle Johnson, but also with all of the Staff Assembly board members to advertise and run the Fan Friday programming, where teams who submit their images through our social media accounts and enter the contest can win 10 tickets to a football game and help support UCLA in many different ways. And so if you're interested in this position, I'm looking for help. There's a lot of different documents that I've created that help plan the Learn at Lunch programming, so it's a lot easier than how it was before, and it's been a lot of fun. So I encourage you to go ahead and contribute, and even if you're not interested in the board position, at least as a volunteer or as a lead. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to answer. With that, I would like to introduce my colleague Douglas, and he's gonna discuss records and archives.
Thank you. Yes, I'm your Vice President for Records and Archives. For my role, I assist in drafting board meeting agenda in partnership with board members and record and document the minutes for all that we talk about during the meeting. And these meetings convene for 1 hour every other week for the full board. In addition, I assist in collecting a lot of board member updates from their events and other content, both in the meeting and out. In addition, I assist with special projects on request in partnership with various board members to assist in their roles. I will note that I also am involved with documenting events and maintaining our archives and our files that we retain in the back end, where all our board members kind of work on a variety of projects where they store their materials. Documenting the events is inclusive of maintaining internal calendar of all of our events to keep us all in line, and also maintaining the archives to ultimately assist in the end of year summary report for Staff Assembly in partnership with our various board members. And then I also assist now with as well with inventory management, since just this year our board was fortunate enough to get some storage space at Murphy Hall. And so we have locked space there, and I assist in essentially, or this role is involved essentially in maintaining the inventory management of our various supplies for our various events there. And for this role, accuracy is very important, and it is best for an individual to plan to attend all board meetings where at all possible. On average, this role requires about 30 minutes to 1 hour per week on top of the every other week meetings. Though more time can be anticipated in support of the other board members on various projects. And also more hours can be anticipated as well, and the end of year summary report that will be generated at the end of the year. And then just echoing kind of what a lot of the previous board members have stated, overall, being on Staff Assembly is a great opportunity to work with a group of very passionate people outside of your own department and connect on larger missions in support of the larger staff population as a whole. And overall, just a unique opportunity to kind of support your fellow staff across UCLA. And in this role in particular, I feel it's a great entry point in getting involved in Staff Assembly, because you really get to hear and see what a lot of the other board members are doing. And so definitely would recommend considering working with Staff Assembly, because it's a great experience. And so with that, I'll transition now to Vice President of, actually, I'm not sure what's next, Strategic Communications. Thank you.
Hi, this is Anna again. I will go ahead and speak to this position. Our current VP of Strategic Communications is Danielle Pacheco and couldn't attend the session today. So the VP of Strategic Communications is responsible for drafting our newsletter that is sent out every other week. And with that, they also manage our Google Forms submissions when somebody is requesting to include some content in our newsletter. In addition to that, you're responsible for managing the number of submissions per department, because there is a fee for additional submissions beyond the one that's allocated for every department once every fiscal year. In addition to that, also responsible for sending out one-off or standalone communication. So when we have special events, special requests, and putting all that together, the president or the president-elect helps review and edit the content before it's sent out. The person in this role also works closely with the VP of Information Systems, who maintains the listserv, to make sure that our listserv is up to date and working appropriately. And these are just screenshots of the different types of communications that are put together. There is a couple of applications that are used to manage the putting together of the communications, and that is MailChimp and Google Docs, Google Forms. So those are the three different types of tools. And if I missed anything, Tulazi, can you let me know? Oh, Tulazi's muted. So we'll go on to the next one, our VP of Wellness.
I'm here. Sorry. So yeah, you covered everything, Anna.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So our VP of Wellness couldn't be with us today. And Guyana, I don't know if you can let Natalie in as a panelist. I think she might be in, but I'll get it started. And then Natalie can backfill. So the VP of Wellness is responsible for providing content, setting up Learn at Lunches with the VP of Programs related to wellness, and making sure that we address any of the needs that the staff, faculty at UCLA may have. Some of the program engagement that we've had is conversations related to resilience, financial literacy. The VP of Wellness also engages in social and community events, serves on various wellness committees, such as the SEML HCI, which HCI stands for the Healthy Campus Initiative. There's different pods or different groups of that, getting involved with United Way, Wellness on Campus, Disability Awareness on Campus, Food Insecurity Working Group for Staff, and Sustainability. Also in the past, Staff Assembly has worked on the virtual 5K promotion and involvement. It's something that we hope we could bring back again someday, and that helps us with procuring funding towards our scholarship. So it's a way to also fundraise and provide a wellness activity. And Natalie, who is one of our members as well, serves on the SEML HCI committee. And Natalie, if you would like to say anything in addition to what I just shared, please feel free.
Sure. I really appreciate being able to support the Vice President of Wellness as a co-lead and filling in places where there is like a gap. Another wonderful thing about the Vice President for Wellness role is that there are so many opportunities for collaboration. I'd say it's like one of the most like highly collaborative roles on Staff Assembly, and it gives you an opportunity to have insight into different partners across the organization and meeting other colleagues and really being able to bring back new, fresh ideas.
Thank you, Natalie. All right, next. So these are the members at large, campus and health. So Sandra, would you like to speak towards the campus member at large, and I can do the health?
Sure. Thank you so much, Anna. As Anna mentioned before, this position is a non-voting position, but it's so beneficial because of the opportunity to network and collaborate with board members. One of the things that we were able to do in terms of collaboration was the messaging for Spark scholarships. And that is something that the member at large is a part of, as well as participating in the initiatives for volunteers, ensuring that messaging gets out to potential volunteers, and also keeping a list of volunteers who might also want to learn more about some of the committees that we just talked about earlier. And of course, also participating when as needed. So in terms of the commitment, it does vary because it does depend on what's happening in a particular month. If there's an activity that's coming up where we need all hands on deck. Also filling in when necessary, when there is a committee or some other event where members of our board might not be able to attend. So that has been rewarding as well, that opportunity to network and collaborate across the board. So again, we hope that you will participate with the board either in one of the board positions or also as a volunteer. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Now for the health member at large, the health member at large helps represent the health system, which includes the 200 plus clinics, the hospitals, the School of Medicine side, so anything health related. And again, these positions are appointed by the president. So if anyone has interest, I know Kelly's going to send out the link to the volunteer form. That's a great place to express interest in any of these volunteer or committee roles. With the health member at large, who is NARIC currently, and he was instrumental in getting us to restart the lunch with Jonice Bizo, who's the president of the UCLA health system. So that was a real rewarding opportunity to sit round table. And as everyone's been voicing here, if you have the time during your work time, your weekends or evenings, just make sure you have a good work-life balance. But the rewards of volunteering and being part of Staff Assembly, I've experienced outweigh the time commitment that I put into the work that I do. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm the current president, but I started off as the health member at large. And within a couple of weeks, there was a vacancy in the president-elect, and that's how I assumed this role. So there are ways to start off small and work your way up if it fits in your plan as far as professional development and time commitment. So don't be afraid to start small or maybe participate in an event, because the rewards are enormous. It's things that I would not get in my day job. And I've been at UCLA for 25 plus years. So for those of you who are fairly new or contemplating, yes, please reach out to anyone here who is available to give you some further insights. Thank you.
Okay, it's me again. Did you miss me? And I just want to reiterate what Anna just said about it's such a great way to network. My day job at UCLA, and I have 21 years, as I have over 20 years as well. And I've met more people and made more contacts, I feel, from the 3 years of being on Staff Assembly across the board. I mean, you can get very isolated in your department at UCLA. So part of the great thing about being on the board or volunteering with Staff Assembly is to just simply meet other people from different parts of the campus, so that when you say, oh, do I know somebody in that department? Why, yes, I do. So that's very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to put right now in the Q&A, I'm going to put the link to sign up, and this will, yeah, there we go. That should be it. No. Somebody want to let me, because the chat doesn't, how do I get to the, any suggestions on how I put the?
If you put it in the chat, I can grab it and put it into a Q&A for you.
Perfect.
And then we do have the QR code on the last slide, so they'll be able to sign up through there as well.
Okay, so and that goes right to Box. So we have a list of the people who want to volunteer, and it's such a great, first of all, a lot of the events that you volunteer at are just plain fun. You know, you have a really good time with your colleagues. That's a plus. And on the form, we'll ask you what position, what's your skill set? What are you good at? What do you want to do? Have you always wanted to be a party planner? Have you always wanted to, whatever? We want to put you to the best use possible. And also be honest. If you have, you don't have a lot of time, you have a few hours, that's fine too. We want to just welcome anybody who wants to come join us and help us. Please follow us on social media. That's also a great way to find out about our events, about other volunteer positions. It's great if you do. I mean, we're lucky we have 36 of you here that want to know about this. So please tell 36 more of your friends, hey, I sat through this great thing for Staff Assembly. Maybe that's something we should do together. Tell your colleagues. But please, it's just, we're here to advocate for staff. That is what we do. It's staff for staff by staff is not just a clever logo. That is truly what we do. So please join us. I was talking to a colleague of mine this morning, and he works in a lot of volunteer and service groups. And he said, people want to help. You just have to ask them. So guess what? We're asking you. Please come help. We'd love to see you at some of our events. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you to our outstanding executive board for sharing their specific roles and responsibilities associated with those roles. For those of you who are interested in running for an executive board position, I would like to cover the eligibility and release time for it. So you've heard about the time commitment, now about the eligibility. So I know there was some questions in the chat about this as well, but any member of the Staff Assembly who has completed 1 year of employment at UCLA is eligible to become a member of the board of the Staff Assembly. And you all are already members of Staff Assembly, as all UCLA staff employees are added to the Staff Assembly membership. Elected board member roles are reserved for policy covered, non-represented staff. And then in terms of the release time, so you heard some of us say that it is important to have the support of your supervisor. So participation in this organization shall be considered an official university function. We are sponsored on behalf of the Chancellor's Office and Campus Human Resources. So it is an official university function. Supervisors shall encourage and support release time for employees who wish to participate in Staff Assembly activities and or meetings according to the guidelines for relations with employee associations and advisory groups reissued August 28, 1979 to UC chancellors and laboratory directors by UC Office of the President. So these guidelines continue to be applicable to the Council of UC Staff Assemblies and local campus staff assemblies. The guidelines provided that management support of approved organizations may include allowing a reasonable amount of time on pay status to be devoted to legitimate association activities by officers and members. So these are directly from our bylaws and are approved by the Office of the Chancellor and Campus Human Resources. We want to make sure that you have the available time to commit to Staff Assembly, but also what's more important is the interest. So when there's a will, there's a way, and you'll make the time if it's something that you enjoy and want to do. Just make sure to have your supervisor's approval for it. And then also you get what you put into it. And so the more involved you are with Staff Assembly, the more rewarding it is, as you've heard from many of our board members today. So next I will have Heidi share some of the details with regards to our nomination and election timeline and how you can nominate yourself or be nominated by a colleague for an executive board position.
Thank you, Lucine. From April 10th to April 28th, our nomination submission period begins. We will have you will have the opportunity to go on our website and nominate yourself, nominate a friend to participate in our executive board elections. Then there will be an eligibility confirmation period, similarly to what Lucine mentioned about the 1 year commitment as a staff employee. We have a person within Campus Human Resources who will do that for us and confirm eligibility. Then we will have a voting I believe that's a couple weeks of voting from May 8th to May 19th. We encourage you to vote if you're not interested and maybe want to co-lead or become a volunteer. Also, please vote. And lastly, the week of May 22nd, our announcements of the elected executive board will be announced in our newsletter. And the nomination submission period and all of these other dates will also be in a communication via our newsletter. They will be presented on our website along with our social media platforms. So stay connected. We are excited for this year, and we really hope that you join us. So with that, I will pass it over to
me. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
To learn more and stay up to date with UCLA Staff Assembly and all of our offerings, follow us on social media. You're able to use your phone to scan the QR code there, and then it'll take you directly to each of those sites. Feel free to tag UCLA SA in your post and spread the word about what we do and how we serve you. If you're interested in learning more about CUCSA and the upcoming UC Board of Regents meetings, feel free to click on those links, or we can add them to the chat as well, so you can access those. The next UC Board of Regents meeting at UCLA is scheduled to take place on May 16th through May 18th. So come join us or watch the live broadcast remotely. Contact Staff Assembly if you'd like your voice heard, or submit a request to provide a public comment. So on behalf of our entire Staff Assembly Executive Board of Volunteers and everyone who contributes to the success of Staff Assembly, we thank you for your time and the opportunity to share what is Staff Assembly. We hope that you would like to run for an executive board position or get involved in Staff Assembly as a volunteer. We're happy to answer any additional questions that you may have. And look forward to seeing you at a future event and on our election ballot. So if there's any other questions, we're happy to answer now. I know our team has been doing an exceptional job answering all of the questions throughout the event, but feel free to reach out to Staff Assembly or to me directly. And I don't see any other questions. So then I will thank you again for joining us, and feel free to reach out.
Thank you everyone for attending. Have a great day. Bye-bye.